Olya looks after global media and data over at Heineken, and I'm really excited to welcome her to the stage. Please put your hands together for Olya.
Good morning, everyone. I actually have a bit of a dissonance after Simon's presentation. There are good news. We still have jobs, and I get paid because media is not dying. Thank you. That's really good to know. But at the same time, I feel FOMO because I don't have enough animation and celebs in my presentation. So you might have to basically put a bit more attention because it is about attention. But there is shit tons of our Heineken brands, obviously, in the background. I couldn't avoid that. So you can obviously check those out. But yeah, thank you for inviting. I think it's a really nice segue that we kind of want to think about effectiveness rather than efficiency. And I think for us as a business, well, probably for a lot of FMCG businesses, those conversations with procurement are also important. Like, it's about productivity. Like, or it's about effectiveness. Like, no, really, we're kind of here to drive growth. But how can we drive growth? Well, when you see things like that, you'll be like, ooh, shit. Actually, how good our plans are? Are they really good? Should we question Dentsu and say, Dentsu, is the plan good enough? I mean, at least it's there and be like, yeah, the plan is good, trust me. But really, the reality is that there is nothing we can do beyond the fact that we are doing our best in creating the most effective plans. However, there is the reality of the metrics that we are using and whether those are good enough, whether viability is the right metric, but also then actually attention span. You saw that goldfish. I remember about like 10 years ago, everyone used goldfish and was saying, you know what's the attention span of goldfish? 9 seconds. And you're like, shit, yeah, that's not much, yeah? People even less. So that's even worse. But the next thing you think about, okay, well, metrics are not good enough. We should be doing something, so we are using some metrics. But then also you're like, well, how much of it is media versus creativity? Well, people on the other stage are probably debating this as well, quite a bit. But for us, I think it's a lot of data shows different information. We know that absolutely creative quality is one of the biggest drivers of profitability, yeah? But at the same time, we also know that actually media choices massively impact attention, and attention impacts our brand outcomes and effectiveness of communication. So the answer is the time to actually do both is now, yeah? We need to make sure we deliver both in the best possible way. And that's not the easiest thing, which I think the guys are going to be debating later in the stage as well, how to bring creative and media together. But what we've started with is basically working with our media partners, trying to come up with something simple enough to understand, because there is always lack of knowledge in the business, and it does take time to actually convince people. Understand what can we use that is easy to execute, and how can we make sure that we get supported by doing it. So hence why we worked with Dentsu to actually start using Lumen and make sure that we are basically working with them and our media partners to test the hell out of it. But what we also found out is that, well, being a penetration marketing business, like a lot of businesses, there is always the tension that you need to deliver reach. We know that reach is important, but the question is how to balance the reach and attention. Obviously, formats like Snapchat Lens, which we actually love and they were great for us, well, not really delivering you that cost-effective reach that quickly. So it starts being a balancing exercise constantly, and you start debating, well, how much of that TV I need to use, yeah, versus actually Meta or other platforms. So that is why we try to kind of move away a little bit from, well, that approach of just attention seconds, yeah, and think about, we have a framework ourselves, so we thought, rather than coming up with new stuff, although we love to come up with new stuff, the amount of frameworks I think in the businesses flying around is unbelievable, but we thought, okay, well, if we can take the tentative CPM as one of our metrics, how can we apply to the rest of our framework? And our framework in the business, how we talk about media, is about balancing reach, cost, and quality. Yeah, very simple. So cost, great, have a tentative CPM, brilliant. How does that work? But then also, how are we making sure that at the same time we are reaching out the right people, as per what Simon was saying. Also in our portfolio, we have over 250 brands. Trying to balance those out is a big exercise in making sure you're not wasting money at the same time. But also, quality is about basically where we show up and how we show up. So how can we actually balance out this percentage of viewability versus time spent with content, because all of those things are actually impacting very different approaches. So what we've done is using that framework, we've started working with Dentsu and planning our media and applying those kind of slightly, I suppose, CCS planner tool that they've got, but also our common sense and understanding how that works, with an ambition to understand a few things. First of all, and I think the biggest question for us is whether that attentive reach is more effective in driving business outcomes, for us brand power, than actually normal reach. We've got some results. Transparently, they're inconsistent. It looks promising, but it's not a yes, definitely. The other testing is actually looking at platforms and understanding which platforms are driving greater attention. And again, across our markets, because we have about 60 opcos where we work, I will show you later, we run tests, and again, inconsistency in terms of platforms and formats. You can't necessarily say that short-term video, for example, is delivering better attention. And I know that, sadly, I'm not giving you like immediate answers here, but I think it's important to know that likelihood you're going to get consistent results everywhere still is very, very challenging. The other things that we're looking at is impact of media versus creative itself in attention. And we do see that absolutely improving your creativity and optimizing your assets delivers great attention. But at the same time, picking right formats and targeting does the job as well. So we don't know what is the percentage. Like in my ideal world, I would like to understand what is the percentage of creative impact versus media choices impact on driving the overall effectiveness. So those are the things that we've been doing and trying to get to exact answers. And what we've done as well, we've tried to roll it out across the network. I don't know how many global people are here versus UK, but simple things that helped us is shaping a bit of an attention 101, educating the system and stakeholders about what attention is. For simple reason, I don't think it's the answer to everything, transparently, but I think there is a lot of buzz about it. So it's better to tell people what it is and help the system to understand what it is, so then you get the right questions. We also produced very practical guides to how to test and what to test consistently so we can actually get results. And then we've started to package up learnings. This is all the tests we've done, gazillions of those with variety of global and local partners. But most importantly, I think it's interesting that I mentioned earlier the results. You can see here some of the results. So this is from one of our largest opcos. Spent quite significant amount of money. And you can see, example of Facebook, we are seeing great ad recall based on attention, and actually the cost is not high enough. Yeah, so it's great because you can see it's effective cost. For instance, in the same opco with YouTube, we didn't have consistent learnings. They didn't really prove being as effective. And this is what we keep exploring. So it's a very difficult metric. So my point of view is that we need to test the hell out of it right now, because this is the only way trying to arrive to solutions. But in terms of creativity, this is what we've done with TEEDS. We clearly saw that as soon as we started to optimize creative and media, obviously everything went up and extremely well. Yeah, so the cost was justifying everything. So you can see the results of brand studies, especially for us, things like association favorability, the toughest one to move. Like recall is an easy one, everything else is difficult. For us as a business, we have saliency, meaningfulness, and differentiation as a brand metrics. And meaningfulness differentiation is the things that drive your price elasticity, premiumization, etc. So those two things, what we want to do with attention, most importantly. So in terms of looking ahead, what that means, well, we are testing quite a lot. I mean, over 30 tests now. We keep doing it this year. But the big challenges, I think, and opportunities at the same time And by the way, again, Heineken, couldn't put it here. Future and the very weird thing that we had in Las Vegas. But the first is the partners, who to work with. There is a lot of partners in the market, and currently they're very inconsistent. So the big opportunity is to understand who to partner with to actually delivering consistent learnings. How we audit media, going back to conversations with procurement, going back to conversations with your media agencies and with partners. I think this is a huge change in the mindset. I hope there are lots of businesses in this world whose procurement is very much effectiveness focused, but often it's not. And even if attention is not the answer to everything, it is a great opportunity, I think, to elevate the conversations that you have with your colleagues in procurement and shift them from constant efficiency, because then it shifts your relationships with agencies. Because agencies need to deliver business, as we know, and they want to deliver business, but then they're getting squeezed on costs. So how to balance those things out? I think this is a great excuse to start doing that, and the way to start doing that. How we model, you saw before the results of the studies. They are still based on the partners' methodology. How can I translate that into consistently selling, see meaningfulness, differentiation for my business? I don't know, but that's what we want to do. So I would like to understand what attention drives in terms of ROI and what attention drives in terms of selling, see meaningfulness, and differentiation, and do it consistently across the partners that we work with. And finally, impact on sustainability. I know we're very far away even from having more consistency in how we're measuring sustainability. But again, probably attention needs to be taken into account to understand actually how we should plan. I know it adds complexity. So again, I think the guys from the agencies probably, going to pull their hair out, because every day we add more and more to their planning. Because before it was reach planning, now you have not reach, now you have attentive reach, and then you have sustainable media as well, and all of that. And considering the commitments that the businesses do in sustainability, I think that's going to become even more important, because most of the businesses start being audited, and media and the supply chain within media and marketing is the part of that audit, which again, sometimes we forget about, but the time is flying and it's going to come our way. But that's kind of our story and where we are. But what I want to sort of wrap up on, which is preaching to a choir maybe, but who knows, I think we still, as much as advertisers can do, what we do is still very inconsistent, tactical, etc., because the landscape is not there. And this is where I think opportunities are for all of us. We have lots of challenges of inconsistent methodologies, types of measurement, metrics themselves. That's not helping anybody, because we can't even get a database of metrics, for example, so we can plug things together and understand how attention works. Get some benchmarks, get some proxies. We can't, because we do have some key players on the market, likes of Lumen, but at the same time, there is no one view, sadly. And I think this is a great opportunity to actually shape that view. And obviously, well, I know walled gardens are even tougher ones, but if you start talking about the whole industry, I think we can come together to do it better. And as a result, making a few shifts, So actually, if we have all the data, or at least some data in a consistent way, and we actually have consistent methodologies, for testing, for measuring, and learning, then we can enable ourselves to plan for it, plan and optimize consistently. And finally, making sure that we can then measure the business rather than keep measuring media metrics. And transparently, I think being in this industry for years, I still can't believe we're actually struggling to measure brand outcomes. I think it's very sad, but it is something that probably we all can work on together, bringing people and hopefully delivering good, consistent results and proving that media matters. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? I can see one from Rupen from Thinkbox.
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
Really interesting presentation. We did a piece
boring though compared to the previous one.
No, it's very good. We did a piece of research last year called Earning Attention, and what we found is that when people are distracted, they're 20% more likely to remember what they've heard versus what they've seen. Now, your charts sort of focus on the visual attention.
Absolutely.
So I just wondered how your auditory attention is being measured, or how you're looking into that.
That is very interesting stats, actually. Thank you for that. I think the answer is that we're actually not thinking about audio attention enough. And that probably would be my answer. And yeah, we probably are focused on visual, which is to some extent the result of the media choices that we make and the creative choices that we make. As you can see, yeah, predominantly the content we run is video content as an industry, as a business, and the likes of walled gardens are pushing us even further, doing more and more video. Although the recent shift, I think, in audio is important, and to be honest, I would love to test more of it. So my answer would be, can I get this research and see how we can actually, I would love to test it out. Because audio is huge, and I think we are underutilizing it massively. No idea why. Still kind of puzzles me, but...
Just context, the auditory piece was from video content.
Okay.
The auditory element of
on top of video.
Well, the auditory element of it, so effectively what you're hearing
Yeah.
is what you're seeing on the screen.
Well, even more important, I mean, we all know that like the audio side is very important. In the last couple of years, it's been growing. I mean, Meta keeps talking about the audio as well right nowadays, yeah, which is quite unusual for them. But I don't think, yeah, we are testing enough that side transparently. I would love to do more of it. Yeah.
We have time for one very quick one, if anyone has one.
Yeah, hi there. It's Dominic from Azerion. It's great to see so much work done on attention. I'm just keen to see whether you've done much about the priming effects of the high impact stuff, the TV, you know, all those elements on the subsequent exposures to your campaigns, and linking the two, because we've seen quite a lot of research around that, and the fact that linking the two together hasn't really been researched. You know, it's always done in isolation on the impact of one format and how much attention that's got.
That's exactly the challenge, is the fact that we are doing it right now predominantly at the vendor platform level. So this year we are trying to commission a research that we're going to do across key opcos, which will look at the whole mix together in more consistent way, whereby we can actually look at how is there an incremental impact, how across channels creative drives attention and then brand metrics, but also exactly understanding also creative versus media on it. So we are working right now on more shaping the methodology and key questions that will enable that.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Please put your hands together for Olya.